Welcome back to the Christian&Cowboy Podcast. I'm Christian, joined as always by Cowboy. Cowboy, how are you doing today?
I'm well, son. How are you?
I'm good. Looking forward to this South Carolina game. Hoping it goes our way, but not sure right now. I'm still not sure who's going to win this game, and it's Wednesday.
No, I know what you're saying. But, we've had lots happened since the last time we talked. The Alabama game wasn't anything like anybody would have thought.
Yeah, for sure. We competed with them a lot more than most people thought we would, and we got screwed multiple times in the game. Would you like to talk about any, of the times we got screwed throughout the course of the game? Because there were many times.
I mean,
They gave them a timeout. That stupid personal foul.
It almost looked like it was fixed in a way. The refs just wouldn't let us in the game, and particularly the Taylor roughing call that flipped the whole deal. And we had held them again. It had been the second consecutive 3 and out, and I think I really believe if Maurer didn't get hurt. Now, assuming Tua did get hurt, so it's kind of not fair to say it that way.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if
oh dang! Suzuki just hit a homer. It's 3-2 Nationals. Sorry, my bad. I didn't.
Sorry.
Yeah. Good.
No, I think if Maurer didn't get hurt, I think Tennessee might win that game.
Yeah. It's crazy, and even if Garantano doesn't do that stupid thing, oh my gosh, literally. See, I wasn't even mad when that happened because I knew even if he does that, we were going to find a way to lose that game just because of who was in at quarterback and because it's us. But if they do not call that personal foul call on Darrell Taylor, we might drive down the field and at least cut it to 1, maybe tie the game.
Yeah. It was
in the
there.
third quarter.
Yeah.
Plenty of time left.
I talked to there's a buddy I know that is an Alabama fan. He was dismissing that like, y'all. And I mean, that's true that Alabama was really never in any danger of winning, or of losing, I should say. But all those calls and Maurer getting hurt, what about where Jennings scored a touchdown that they never even gave to him? And they called that holding call on Morgan Morris over there. That
was where he was out of the Wildcat, right? And he ran it to the left pylon. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. That pushed us back, and then ended up having to kick the field goal. I think that drive. There's so many people that believe this league is corrupt.
Because it is.
Stuff like that right there is why people think it. Whether it's true or not, it looked like that the league was determined to have an undefeated Alabama.
It's not that. The league is determined to have 2 teams in the playoffs again. That's what the league is determined for.
That's the kind of conspiracy theories that people come up with. The same kind of crap happens with Kentucky basketball.
Mm-hmm.
There's a different whistle for Kentucky.
Now, obviously, in basketball and football, it's 2 different things.
Well, don't worry.
Because in basketball, you don't have to win every game.
That's true. But Kentucky's gotten calls year after year. They always do. A different whistle for Kentucky and a different flag for Alabama. It's just always going to be. And you watch, I guarantee you Auburn's going to have their hands full against LSU trying to get in a fair shake Saturday.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Especially because it's in Baton Rouge and, like I just said, SEC wants 2 teams in the playoff, preferably Bama and LSU.
Well, I mean, South Carolina got hosed against Florida.
Oh, yeah, I know. Yeah, they were talking about on the VolQuest podcast, I think it was yesterday. It might have been today, I don't even remember. But I would not want to be that officiating crew Saturday in the South Carolina-Tennessee game. You got 2 coaches who are pissed off at the SEC officiating crew right now because both of them got hosed the entire game, their last game.
Yeah, they did. It's I don't know, man. This is a tough spot for Tennessee. I mean, this is potentially a way to salvage the season.
Mm-hmm.
You've just got everything against you, man. As far as, you don't have Maurer. He is basically out. That South Carolina team is the kind of team we don't match up well with. They're very physical, and I'm afraid they could really dominate us, honestly. But so if you don't win that game, I mean, I talked about, Vandy beat Missouri somehow.
Yeah.
So
I mean, if you don't win this game Saturday, you have to win out to make a bowl game.
You do, and that's a tall order. We talked about before we came on the air here. UAB ain't going to be any pushover. That's going to be a whole lot better team than Georgia State. I'll tell you that right now.
Yes, it will be.
They're very well coached. I mean, that's going to be a chore. And then think of this: both Kentucky and Missouri is on the road.
Mm-hmm.
And what if they turn those things into night games? It's about 20 degrees, and that could happen, man. And we've not answered the bell very well in games like that over the last 5 years. So it's a big spot at the Tennessee Saturday.
Yep.
Hopefully they can make it happen. That's just.
Yeah, do you know LSU Bama's a day game?
Yeah, it's called CBS has it.
Well, it's not that. CBS usually makes it a night game, but I didn't realize this. CBS only gets one night game a year, and they've already used it on Notre Dame, Georgia.
Yeah, I knew that.
I mean, I knew they usually used it on Bama LSU, so I just assumed that game was just always penciled in at 7 o'clock CBS, but I didn't know that.
I mean, that really hasn't been much of a game the last few years, but Alabama's it's incredible to say, but they're not very good, defensively anyway.
I mean, right now, I think the best team in the country is Ohio State.
They might be, but I think LSU's really good.
I think they are, too. I think it's either LSU or Ohio State. And Clemson, I'm going to be honest, they haven't looked terrible, but they have not looked like what people thought they were going to be this year.
No, they're not. It's a typical regression from a national championship team that brings everybody back the next year. I've seen it over and over and over. I think last time we talked, it looks a lot like Florida State the year after they won it with Jameis.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you, this one will hit close to home. Our '98 championship, which was ages ago, it was a very similar situation. I mean, Tennessee brought basically everybody back, and they just didn't look good. Maybe 2 games all year that they looked the part of a really good team. Mm-hmm. So it's sort of normal. But I mean, there's no way Clemson's going to lose in that terrible ACC. And so if they go unbeaten, they're definitely going to be in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So then once they get in it, who knows? Maybe they can turn it on again.
But I mean, that doesn't just happen in college football. That happens in multiple sports. I mean, you saw with the Red Sox this year, even in baseball. They didn't have necessarily a terrible season. They just couldn't turn the corner to even be in playoff contention near the end of the year. And
right.
I mean, they looked unstoppable last year, and then this year they come back and they don't even make the playoffs.
Right.
So, little recruiting note real quick before we get more into the South Carolina game. We got all 3 of the Whitehaven kids last night. All of them are linebackers. Let me look up their names again because I kind of forgot. I know French is. Hold on, I'm just gonna look it up. Dad, talk while I'm looking this up. I forgot.
No, that's fine. That's important. I mean, the one kid's only a 3-star, but the other 2 are high 4s. So, and that's a position of need. We're desperate for linebackers. So it's a good thing. I mean, you wouldn't have thought when the way the season started with the Georgia State debacle and the BYU thing that you'd be able to get players like that. But they're in state. But getting kids out of Memphis has always been tough for Tennessee, even in the good days. So it's important.
Man, I can just not find this anywhere.
What is it you're looking for?
I'm trying to look for the names of the Whitehaven kids.
Oh, okay. I can tell you that.
Here, I got it. So, yeah, they all 3 committed in like 1 hour last night. So, it was Bryson Easton, Artavius French, and Tamarion McDonald. All 3 committed to Tennessee last night. We flipped 2 of them. One of them was committed to Arkansas, and one was committed to Mississippi State.
That's right, Mississippi State, yeah.
Yeah, and one of them wasn't committed yet, obviously, but he cannot say names right now, but one was pretty much leaning Tennessee the whole way, and then he kind of swayed his two teammates over. So it's a big get for us, I think. But we needed linebacker depth, so it definitely helps.
Is. I mean, now I'll switch gears real quick since we're on recruiting. You got Tennessee ranked 4th in the country, just behind North Carolina, Kentucky, and Duke
in basketball.
It's by far the best recruiting class Tennessee's ever had. I mean,
Jaden Springer, Keon Johnson, and Corey Walker, if I'm correct.
It'd be good to get a big man, and I think they will. I mean, Tennessee is an attractive place for kids to go. All of a sudden,
we have Euros Plazvic or whatever, that kid who transferred from Arizona State. Apparently, he's getting his waiver, but right now he's a freshman, so he still has a lot of years of eligibility left. He's like 7'1".
Okay.
We're still waiting on his waiver though, from what I've heard. So, yeah, it's been a good week for recruiting for both basketball and football.
No doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt.
All right. Well, let's go back to the South Carolina game. What effect do you think that this Will Muschamp streak will have on the players and this coaching staff Saturday?
I don't know. It's hard to understand. I mean, Muschamp isn't very good, I don't think. But he does know how to coach defense. I think they caught us we caught them at just the wrong time the last several years. It's always been after this Bama game, and most years we've just been physically beat to death. And that's really not the case now. We didn't come out of that except for Maurer, of course, the most important player on the field. But these streaks can take on a life of their own. I mean, we've seen it with Florida for years, and so I think the bottom line is South Carolina, they've got very physical defensive line, and can our offensive line that has shown huge improvement this year, can they answer the bell and at least hold their own against that front four that they have?
I mean, I think they did against Alabama. If you take away a few freshmen mistakes, I think the offensive line played good Saturday.
No, they did. They absolutely did.
If you take away those freshman penalties, they played great. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just can they win with Guarantano out there? I mean, it's hard to imagine that we can. I told you earlier, they're saying Trout's going to probably play some too. So,
yeah.
I don't know, man. I swear I'd put Jennings at quarterback.
See, I was watching practice highlights, and they had a dude at number 3 out there, and I was wondering who it is, and then someone said in the comments it was that kid from Maryland that isn't eligible till next year. He was practicing today for some reason.
Right.
Or I guess he's allowed to practice, he just can't play. So.
Evidently.
Yeah.
Evidently.
Words. Yeah. So, I hope this Will Muschamp streak ends because I'm really tired of it. It's becoming very frustrating because there's no reason for it.
No, there isn't. I mean,
okay. Well, I'll end the awkward silence there. So do you want to go ahead and do our picks for this week?
Yeah, we can.
All right. So we'll close out our college football talk for the podcast and go ahead and do our picks real quick. So we're just going to bypass week 8 since we didn't do a podcast last week. Our schedules just didn't line up. Anyway, here's week 9. Games week 7. I went 3-2, putting my record overall in the year at 16-19. Cowboy went 2-3, putting his overall record at 21-14. So, first game this week, let me get my pen out, is South Carolina -4 at Tennessee.
I mean, it's just...
Do you need time for that one? Do you want me to save that for last?
I just,
Should I come back to it?
It's just, I was just thinking about that Alabama line, that I would have bet Alabama on that.
Oh, for sure. I cannot believe we covered that.
It's just 4 points. I mean, it's basically saying if you can lose 20-17, you covered.
Oh, actually, hold on. Forget the picks talk. We forgot to talk about one major thing that's short to talk about, but along with the SEC making this the Alabama Invitational on Saturday, ESPN, what do you have to say for yourselves? Have you seen the clip?
Yeah, you talking about the cigar smoking thing?
Oh my gosh.
Man, it wasn't even just that. The commentators were all they talked about was saving this, saving that. I mean, it was like
we were watching. We weren't watching ESPN. We were watching the Alabama Sports Network.
Yeah, it was just.
It was like how they used to when we play like Austin P or something. They'd have the pay-per-view broadcast you'd get would be the Vol Network. That was basically what it was. With
it
Alabama.
really was just embarrassing. From the officiating, Alabama. I mean, those people are so spoiled, and you like to get. They don't need any help. Okay, they don't need your cheerleading.
Yeah.
They don't need officials flipping the game, have the game deciding calls and flips the. They don't need. They're plenty good enough. Trust me. They don't need all this thing. It's exhausting, man. I mean, it is. And this is what happens too when you've lost like we have for so many years. And Vandy can say that. I mean, it always seems you get the short end of the stick, and it's hard to flip that around, man, because once it comes the karma and it just never seems to go away. So
you know what I'll say? One last note about the Bama game. Pruitt threw the kitchen sink at them, and he coached his ass off, and 21 of our players played their ass off. That's what I got to say about the Bama game, and now we'll move on. Do you agree with that statement?
Yeah, I do. I'm in total agreement.
All right. Okay, so should I come back to the South Carolina-Tennessee game?
No, I'll take Tennessee to cover. I mean,
okay, -4?
Yeah, I think they'll keep it within a field goal, win or lose.
I think I just cannot. The reason I'm taking South Carolina here is because of what we just talked about, Will Muschamp.
Yeah.
We cannot beat Will Muschamp, and until we do, I'm not picking us to beat Will Muschamp straight up or with the line. I think this line.
I hear you.
If this line was like 7, I'd probably take Tennessee, but since it's 4, I'm just going to go South Carolina because I think that's. You can trust that a little more than you can Tennessee.
I agree.
All right.
I'm probably picking with my heart instead of my head. So I know what you're saying.
Exactly. That's I thought with my head, not my heart. Number 9, Auburn at number 2, LSU. LSU -11.5.
I mean, this reminds me of that conversation we had with LSU Florida, and I just couldn't believe that the spread was that high. And I can't believe it. I mean, Auburn has played really well this year.
Aside for the Florida game, yeah.
But
even in that game, it wasn't.
I mean, I'm going to stay on that LSU train until it busts. I mean, nobody's even threatened them yet. Of course, they ain't played anybody real tough, But
I'm actually taking Auburn here. Because I think LSU wins by 10. That's why I'm taking Auburn. And the line's 11.5. So, and I think I've said all week I think LSU wins by 10. So
I can see it being 35-25, something like that.
Yeah, something like that. 38-28, something like that. 6-2 Nationals.
Well, it's what I said earlier too. Auburn's going to get nothing from the officials. You can take that to the bank. They won't. So it's going to be very difficult for them.
Yeah. Yeah. So the Astros are taking a 6-2 lead in the top of the 7th. Wow. Or the Nationals, my bad. Did I say Astros?
You did.
Yeah. We'll get back to that because that'll be interesting to talk about. Number 6, Penn State at Michigan State. Penn State -6.5.
Penn State.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. When I first saw that line, I was like, I have to put this on here. This is such an easy one.
Yeah, that's hard to believe that low. Mm-hmm. So I would think that'd be about 13.
Yeah, I would too. When I first saw that, I was like, that's 6.5? Seriously? And I was like, I got to put that on there. That's an easy one. Okay, number 13, Wisconsin at number 3, Ohio State. Ohio State minus 14.5.
Ohio State sort of like LSU. I mean,
They haven't let you down yet, so why
no,
stop now?
yeah.
Yeah. I'm actually taking Wisconsin here. It's kind of like Auburn LSU here for me.
Right.
I think the line there is 11.5 for LSU. I think Wisconsin loses by 14, and the line's 14.5. So going with Wisconsin because I think they lose by 14. Probably gonna regret that, but I figure I'm already out of it. I'm already 5 games down anyway, so I might as well take some chances.
I got you.
And then our last one, Missouri minus 10.5 at Kentucky.
Yeah, man, what a game to pick there. I mean, what'd you say, 10.5?
Mm-hmm. At Kentucky.
I mean, it's hard to know. I still don't really understand what happened in that Vanderbilt game. I had a lot going on Saturday night. I don't know, it's like, how did that happen? I mean, Vandy's looked awful.
I mean,
You know?
Brian was kind of texting me during the game, kind of telling me what was happening, and he said that apparently after Vandy's Vandy started Bo Hassan, their third string setter, and apparently after that, after he got hurt, it's like a switch clicked with Vandy where they were like, we're not going to lose this game for him because he balled out the whole game and kept it close.
Right.
So that could have been part of it, but I don't really know. I didn't get to watch the game because I was working an event at my church, so
I mean,
I don't know.
Kentucky's offense has been so terrible.
Mm-hmm.
It's just hard for me to see because Missouri. I mean, generally, if you just ignore last week, I mean they're usually good for 30 points. I can't see Kentucky scoring 20.
Yeah, I can't either.
So I'll take Missouri to cover there.
All right. Well, I was originally going to do that, but I've kind of done the same thing for all these this week. The line is 10.5. I think Kentucky's going to lose by 10, so I have to take Kentucky. It's really stupid that I've done that with 3 games this week, but I don't know. I did not like at all what I saw from Missouri last week, and Kentucky's kind of like the Titans where they're just inconsistent and you don't know what team you're going to get every week. So I'm going to take a chance on Kentucky there, and like I said, I'm already down by 5 in this, so what's the point? Nationals are up 8-2 now. All right.
Man, what about that? Are they going to sweep that thing?
Well, they've just had a 6-run 8th or 6-run 7th.
With the way, I saw,
So yeah, we'll go ahead and talk World Series.
When they beat the Dodgers, I was just like, you know what? I bet they win this whole thing. And sure enough, that's what they're going to do.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you watched the highlights from last night, but they have good hitters. You don't realize it, but they have a really solid offense. The Nationals do. Juan Soto, the young kid for them, has been playing really well this postseason, and if he keeps playing the way he does, and they keep, obviously they got one of the best starting rotations in baseball. So do the Astros. But this is 2 nights in a row the Nationals have. Well, they didn't really light them up last night, but tonight they lit them up. Verlander. Yeah, this is all the Astros bullpen, by the way. They took Verlander out after they went up 3-2, and since then they've kept scoring.
Well, I mean, you never know. I remember when the Yankees started their run. This is before you were born. So like in '95, they won, I don't know, 5 World Series in 10 years, something like that. Anyway, the first year was 95. I'm almost positive against Atlanta, and the Yankees lost the first 2 games in New York, and then came back and swept the next 4 in a row. 3 in Atlanta and 1 in New York. Seriously, that happened. It was that was that Braves team that was like Glavine and Maddox and John Smoltz.
Those 90s teams.
Right.
That just couldn't close the deal.
It's baseball, so it ain't over yet, but they're definitely digging themselves a hole, that's for sure.
Yeah, If you told me before this series that the Nats were going to win both these two games, hold on, my friend just texted me something funny about the game. I'll get back to him. Anyway, if you told me that the Nats were going to win both these two games in Houston to start this series, I would have said you were crazy.
Right.
But hats off to them. They have beat the odds this entire postseason. They were down they were down 3 runs, I believe it was, in the bottom of the 8th against the Brewers, and even in the wild card game. They've been coming back from behind and digging through holes this whole postseason. So, and after tonight, this will be 7 wins in a row for them in the playoffs right now. So they're on a hot streak, and it's gonna be tough for Houston to go into Washington and come out of there even still in the series. I think because next 3 games are in Washington. So if they win 2 out of 3 in Washington, they're World Series champions.
Right.
The Nationals are. So
yeah, that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. You want to talk NFL or NBA?
Yeah, I don't have any interest in NBA.
Well, I'll touch on that a little bit because I have some opinions.
Okay. Well, let's say this, and this is, I just saw this about an hour ago, where Josh Gordon got put on IR from the Patriots, and they're waving it.
Yep. But did you see they got Mohamed Sanu, so it basically didn't do anything.
It's just, it was so shocking. I mean,
I didn't know he was hurt either.
No, I didn't. I saw that. What in the world did it? I thought he'd relapse again, but that didn't have anything to do with it. Mm-hmm. They just didn't need him anymore. They thought. That's a team with not a lot of weapons. I mean, they've just not been. I mean, their defense is unbelievable, but they're not scoring any points. I mean, so that blew me away. I didn't see that coming in at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's weird. It just came out of nowhere. Is what the weird thing about it was. Like, it was just really sudden.
That's what I would agree with. So once you talk about what we hope would not happen, but the inevitable did, and that is Marcus Mariota has been relegated to the bench, and he is no longer a starting quarterback in this league, and probably never will be again.
You know what? I hate it for him because he's such a good guy. I don't know if I've told this story on the channel before, but I met him his rookie year in training camp. He signed my Sports Illustrated. He was really cool to me because, back then I was like 9, 8, something like that, 10. I was still little, And, he was really cool to me, signed whatever I wanted him to sign, took a picture with me. Real polite guy, but I just feel really bad for him because I've loved him ever since he's been in Nashville until he started playing like garbage, which he has this whole season, unfortunately. So
yeah, and last year too.
It's just unfortunate, honestly, more than anything.
I think I've always said this: when these quarterbacks fail, more often than not, it's an organizational thing rather than the player. And I've said this before. The Titans keep running out quarterbacks. It ain't been that long since Jake Locker was here. Same thing. Great kid, hard worker. Everybody they put at that position stinks. Mm-hmm. And it's been that way for 20 years, since McNair left.
Hashtag draft Joe Burrow.
There's something wrong with the Titans organization.
We can't even we probably won't even be able to draft Joe Burrow because by the time we get there, he'll probably be off the board now.
It's hard to say. I mean, it's a pretty strong class. I mean, they might think about.
Yeah, I mean, we may not have to. We'll probably still get a good. If we take a quarterback, we'll probably get a good one. It's a really strong class. Justin Herbert, Fromm, Tagovailoa, Burrow.
You don't know how it's going to turn out. I mean, wherever you draft, they've got to change something about the organization. I don't know what it is, but all I know is quarterbacks keep failing there, no matter who it is. And I think it's the coaching they're getting rather than the player. But
I don't care about Sunday. I'm still on the fire Mike Vrabel train, and I will be unless he somehow turns us around and we get in the playoffs this year.
I can't see how they could possibly keep
I don't see how they would either. Only way they can keep him is if if somehow he turns this around and we get in the playoffs.
Well, what you'd think would happen would be new quarterback, new coach, and start fresh, and that's what they ought to do.
Yeah.
And they need to get somebody that knows how to score points. They need an offensive mind, something like what Arizona did with Kingsbury.
Mm-hmm. They're 3-1.
I know.
Yeah.
Who ever saw that coming? They need
pretty much dominated the Giants Sunday.
Do what?
They pretty much dominated the Giants Sunday.
Yeah, they did. They need to get a guy that's an offensive mind, like the guy in Green Bay. You know, some of Kyle Shanahan type players.
Well, guess what? He was our offensive coordinator last year.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I mean, the only thing about that that's weird is it's not like our offense set the world on fire last year.
Yeah.
I always thought that was an odd choice for the Packers, but
it's kind of weird that they just. I still don't know why they hired him, and I don't know. Like, our offense wasn't great by any means last year. I mean, it wasn't as bad as it is this year, but it wasn't great. I don't see how. But it's better players more than anything, in my opinion.
Well, yeah, it probably is. I mean, you're going from Mariota to Rodgers. I don't know, man. It's just hard to get it done in that league. I mean, you got to get lucky in a lot of ways. But we'll have to see. I mean, you'd think Tennessee will draft somewhere around 15 or higher.
Something like that. Yeah, I mean, if you decide to take a quarterback there, like I said, you can still probably get a pretty good quarterback there.
Well, they might even try to trade up. But,
that too. So did you watch the game Sunday, the Chargers game, or did you at least watch the highlights? So you don't know what happened at all?
No, I did. Yeah, I saw that fumble. But because I was looking at it on my phone. That's when I'm at work. That's how I kind of.
You just do Gamecast.
I did that Gamecast thing.
Yeah.
And it showed where the Chargers were on the 1 yard line with about 30 seconds left, and I thought, well, they're going to beat us. And then next time I refreshed my phone, the game was over, and the Titans had won. I thought, what in the world? How did that happen? And I thought, well, they have had to have fumbled. Sure enough, that's what they did.
Yep. And watching it live, I didn't even realize it was a fumble. I knew for sure. I was like, we're going to lose this game. As soon as I think we went for it on 4th down and didn't get it. No, yeah. LA didn't have any timeouts left. There was like 2 minutes left, 2:16 left in the game. We go for it on 4th and 2, on 4th and inches, and of course they stuff us. And I was like, this game's over. Like, as soon as it happened, I was like, this game is over. Kind of like in the Tennessee-Bama game. As soon as that Darrell Taylor thing, because I had seen that the day before. As soon as that Darrell Taylor penalty got called, I was like, this game's over. As soon as they stopped us on 4th and inches, I was like, this game is over. But I was wrong Sunday, thankfully. And, I personally think we just got lucky to where they just could not get it in the end zone. And the fact that happened, that we stopped them 3 times on the goal line is pretty sad if you're a Chargers fan.
Yeah, every year the media talks about how talented San Diego is. And I'm just like...
Well, I mean, coming off of last year, you would think they would have a similar season. They've got pretty much everyone back from that team last year.
Well, they had a lot of injuries in training camp. It just...
Yeah.
It's always something with that bunch. I don't know what, but you just can't count on them. I mean, Kansas City's in really good shape here. When Mahomes went down, you thought, golly, this is just a disaster. But there's nobody in that division, even if they keep him out for a month and split, say they go 2-2, or even if they were to lose the next 4 games without Mahomes, which they're probably going to miss that many. But even if they did, they'll still win that division.
Yeah.
Probably.
You know what? I'm kind of mad though, because Mahomes getting hurt lost us the opportunity to see Rodgers versus Mahomes Sunday night. But
the biggest problem with the whole thing is you're going to have to go to Foxborough and win.
Yeah. Now you definitely are.
it's just hard for me to see anybody beating them up there.
Yeah,
and it's happened before, but not much.
One more thing, NFL. What do you think about this start the 49ers have had?
I don't know, man, because
I mean, they haven't really played anybody, if we're being honest, but I mean, they killed the Rams in LA, but their fans basically took over that stadium.
Well, but still, that's I'm not as high on the Rams as a lot of people, but that to me told me they were for real. They don't seem to be able to score very well. I mean, Garoppolo is not the quarterback. I don't believe that people thought he would be. But that
he's still like 7-1 as a starter or something like that.
I know. I mean, he finds a way somehow or another. Some people are like that. So I still think Seattle's the best team in that division. Myself.
Did you catch any? Well, transitioning. Did you catch any opening night NBA action last night?
I read with Clippers drilled the Lakers.
They did.
I knew about it.
Kawhi Leonard basically single-handedly beat the Lakers last night. It was kind of sad that it was technically a Clipper home game, and it was basically 2/3 of the arena were Lakers fans.
Yeah. That doesn't surprise me, but boy, that might change because they look like entirely, based on what I've read, like I think I saw where the Clippers bench outscored the Lakers bench like 67-18, something like that.
Yeah.
And it was like the only real good option the Lakers had to come off the bench was Dwight Howard. And you just think, man, if that's all they got problems here. And I never thought this was going to work. I mean, LeBron James he's not done, but he's a long way from what he used to be.
Oh yeah, he's close. He's close to being done. Yeah. One thing, this is talking about another team that played last night, the Raptors. I was looking at their roster. I was looking at the box score of that Pelicans game. I watched most of it. It was a pretty good game. If you aren't a fan of either team, but I was looking at that box score. They basically have everyone back from that team from last year except Danny Green and Kawhi Leonard. Basically, everyone else is back. So, does that mean they're still going to be a factor in the East? I don't think so, but they could surprise some people is all I'm saying.
Right.
They've still got Van Vliet, Siakam, Gasol. All those core guys that they had last year are back for them. What's his name? Serge Ibaka's back too. So, Toronto's a team I think you never know with for this year. I don't know. They could surprise some people and end up with like the 3 seed in the East, but they could maybe miss the playoffs. I don't know. Toronto's going to be an interesting team this year to watch, I think.
Right.
And New Orleans looks really good. That was without Zion last night, and they looked good. Lonzo at least looked decent last night. To be honest, I had kind of forgotten that they basically got the entire Lakers bench for Anthony Davis.
Right.
A lot of those players actually looked pretty good last night. So I don't know. Pelicans are going to be an interesting team to watch this year too. But yeah, the Clippers are the team to beat in the East, in the West. I think now. If you guys watched my NBA preview, I had the Lakers as the 1 in the East, in the West, and the Clippers as the 2 in the West. I would flip-flop that right now, automatically, just off last night. I know it's just one game, but off what I saw, I think the Clippers are for sure the much better team. And not only that, this was without Paul George.
Right.
Paul George is still out for like another month, so.
Well, it's a long season, though.
Yeah.
It's just hard to take it real seriously for me.
Yeah.
But what you see now, they're basically scrimmages. It just doesn't have really anything to do with what it will be this spring. But
last major sport to touch on, the Predators are 5-4 currently. Last night, blasted the Anaheim Ducks 6-1. Tomorrow night they got a game against the Minnesota Wild, and then you go on the road to Tampa. So if you start your first 10 games 6-4, that's good. I said before the Anaheim game they were, or before the Florida game actually, they were 4-3. They lose to Florida at home, and I was like, you've got to win at least one of these, Anaheim and Minnesota, because you start out 4-6. How do you think the rest of your season's going to go? Or even
Right.
5-5.
Yeah.
So I think I think the Wild aren't going to be any problem tomorrow. I think we win that game pretty easily too. So, a 6-4 start for Nashville is pretty good. Hopefully we can keep up that pace, and I think moving Duchesne to the front to the first line and swapping him and Forsberg out was a great move by Laviolette. Looks like it's been working pretty good for them.
Right.
We're scoring goals. That's the biggest thing from these first like eight or 9 games is that we are scoring goals, which we have not been able to do lately. And the power play is actually good right now. I think it's not first in the league, but I think it's in the top 10 that our power play is right now. And like
Right.
it's early, but still, that's obviously an improvement from last year.
Yeah.
And you probably haven't watched a lick of hockey this year, have you?
No, but that doesn't mean I'm not. I mean, I'm much more interested in that than I am basketball.
Yeah, you guys probably know Patrick. Yeah, Patrick was talking about how, me and Patrick are going to probably do a Preds video on Friday because I'm going to be at his house Friday. But he was talking about how he wanted you to be in the video. I was like, he has not watched a single second of hockey this year.
No, I hadn't. I mean, I wouldn't be able to.
Yeah, I was like, he wouldn't be able to contribute to anything.
No. Wouldn't be much help to you there.
Yeah. All right. I think this was a lot and enough. Is there anything else? Unless there's anything else you want to talk about?
No, I think that's enough, honey. We've been on at it pretty long here.
Yeah,
so.
42 minutes almost. So,
Yeah.
any last words about South Carolina or anything you want to say? Go ahead.
I mean, it's huge. It's another make or break game, so hopefully they can find a way.
You heard it there. Thank you guys for watching / listening to this episode. Hope you enjoyed. You can go check out the playlist for all of our past episodes. Subscribe for more, and we will see you later. Go Vols.